Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. I am your humble host, Mr. David Null, also known as Hawkeye Two Feathers, and I greet you with the love and the honor of the infinite Creator. And I continue to pray that each and every day, that each and every one of you will continue to learn how to accept and receive the knowledge, the healing, the wisdom, and the many blessings in the universe. And I'm hoping that this prayer reaches all of you, and that I know that there are a lot of folks out there who are sick, who are feeling bad, who are going through troubled times. And these are some weird times, as a matter of fact. Um, there's a lot of cosmic energy going on. There's a lot of just um, human things going on that people are going through and struggling through and are being a party to in one way or another. And so I seem to be caught up in this same thing, which is just rather interesting to me that how things are working out. But it isn't all about me, but my situation seems to be pertinent to what some other people are going through. And so there are folks who get good news and bad news. So I'll kind of sort of get right to it in that the good news is that, um, I've had my staples taken out just the other day. Hey, Scotty boy. Yeah, um, certain things are keeping me awake this morning. Um, and I'm going to kind of get right to it. Um, Yesterday, I went to the doctor and had the rest of my, now meaning Thursday. I know this is Friday, so I'm still kind of in Thursday mode. And I went to the doctor on Wednesday. How about that? And had the rest of my staples taken out of my back, all 11 of them. And they put butterfly bandages on it and another um, 10 by 4 um, island bandage to cover it up at my request, because I didn't want the butterfly bandages to get yanked off. But anyway, um, that's the good news. And the good news is that the incision looks good and it's healed well, and there's not any signs of any kind of infections. But when the doctor asked me to stand up out of the wheelchair, which is, I should not have been in a wheelchair, I couldn't get in and out of the vehicle yesterday, Wednesday, and had a lot of difficulty walking. And my question mark to the doctor is, why am I feeling this way when on Sunday, 3 days earlier, I had walked around the yard? Um, I had friends brought Duggar back on Sunday, and we took a walk around to look at the mulberry tree and to look at blueberries. And I did it all with a cane instead of a walker. And I felt great. Wednesday, however, I couldn't stand up. So Thursday, yesterday, now that it's Friday, was a tumultuous day for me in that, well, and especially Wednesday afternoon and night, because I went from being very good, not only with physical outside, the incision um, healing well. Now I'm dealing with internal issues and possibly another hematoma. So the doctor immediately ordered another MRI, and changed my medicine up. My blood pressure has been up for the last 4 days. Well, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then yesterday, Thursday, things have sort of calmed down. Hey, Alex, how are you? 420, yes. I wanted to be here for that. It's 421. We missed it by a minute, but cheers, everybody. I deserve it, and I hope you do too. So, there's a lot of good news in some of these things. And it's like, for example, the doctor comes up to a patient and says, um, you know, the good news is, Mr. Johnson, we found the problem. And Mr. Johnson says, well, that's wonderful. And the doctor says, well, the bad news is we got to cut off your anus. Because there's a planet sized growth on your butt. Trying to have a little humor this early in the morning under the present circumstances. It's hard to have a boil on your butt, and when you're sitting a lot. But anyway, so there's a lot of good news. Oh, the good news is, um, we fixed your car. The bad news is it's $2,800. What? There's good news and then there's bad news. So now the bad news for me in my current situation is that I will have to go back into the operating room and have it done all over again, to be reopened, to have the incision recut, and to have to go through the healing process and the walking process and all of that all over again, which means a repeat of the last 4 weeks. And quite frankly, I ain't looking forward to it. Just stay away from my Johnson. Yeah, that's why I said your Uranus. 'Cause I was sort of thinking, your gonads. Oh, we're gonna save your life, but we got to cut your balls off. But unfortunately, I knew a friend of mine who has passed away several years now, who got testicular cancer, and he was a lovely man, lovely wife, good family man, good solid Catholic, and wonderful to play with on stage at the theater. And I know the word play seems a little outrageous, but to be able to play against another actor, he was absolutely great. But they basically had to cut him off because of his testicular cancer. So, and he died way too young. I mean, he was in his late 50s, but he should have lived a lot longer. But anyway, so good news, bad news, good news, Mr. Mr. Johnson. We found your problem. We got to cut your gonads off. What? Yeah. And then you might not live. So, but in my case, um, I have to, I'm, I gotta say that I was freaked out at first, and I still am, at the prospects of what this means to me, to have another major surgery, to have to go back in the hospital, to have to go back into the whole thing, to have to go through the whole process over again. And I'm not looking forward to this. So, but in the meantime, which is even more trying in a way for me, is that I have to have another MRI. Now, that's okie dokie, but here's the thing: I can't have one until Medicare approves it. Now, if Medicare says no, however long it may take them to approve or disapprove the MRI, I got to go through this extra pain. I have to suffer through this on the outside. I can barely get around in here, where the other day I was able to walk around in the kitchen without any help. Hey, good morning, Sheila. You won't have to call me now since you're listening in. But I've had a major setback starting about Tuesday. And I went to the doctor on Wednesday. They took the rest of the staples out, and I couldn't stand and can barely walk. So Dr. Cadis has ordered another MRI, but my current issue is I have to wait on Social Security and especially Medicare. I keep throwing Social Security in there, but Medicare to approve an MRI. Now, I don't know how long I'm going to be able to put up with this extra pain, because when this happened in the hospital, they started me on a lot of steroids, a bunch of pain meds, and morphine is one of them. All I got is a couple of tramadol, and I've been having tizanidines for my pain, and I can only have it every 6 to 8 hours. So they were shooting me up every 4 hours in the hospital. And any consideration by the doctor to order anything more is being dealt with by the DEA. I found that out yesterday, Wednesday, um, from the nurse who says the doctor can't prescribe you any more of these because the DEA determines how much the doctor can actually prescribe, how many days, how much, what the dosage is. So the doctor is not in charge of being able to treat his patients effectively. So because my situation has come up differently, I hate that this is going on. I'm in a lot of pain. And right now I'm doped up as much as I can. And I've recently taken my 2 doses of steroid, but which is not taken away the pain, but has slowed it down. But earlier I was sitting here in the chair just going, oh man, I might have to call um, the hospital. I might have to go to the emergency room because this ain't working. And depending on how long it takes for Medicare to approve an MRI, could take me a week to 10 days or longer. And this now it's Friday as a 428 or 9. Take another hit with me. And I've been staying righteously stoned. I ain't gonna lie. Um, I have, every time this bowl runs out, I've been packing it back full. So I'm graciously stoned at the moment as well. This whole medical thing is criminal. Some of it is just nuts. When the nurse yesterday told me how much the DEA watches the surgeons and how frustrated the surgeons are that they can't treat their patients because, what's another 5 days? What's another 10 days? If they're still watching, my situation is such that I got to have another MRI, but the doctor can't give me any more medicine or anything stronger. And I don't know how long they can give me the which is a low narcotic, low level narcotic, they say. Um, but because I got to have another MRI because something is obviously wrong because I can't walk like I did on Sunday, and I hate it. I do not want this to happen. I don't want to go have to go back through this. Sheila saw me on Sunday, and I was doing fine. I was doing great, and now I can't walk. It's hard for me to get to the kitchen. I stumbled through getting something, together tonight to eat. Been able to feed Duggar, and some very simple things. But what I was able to do today versus what I was doing Sunday, I could do circles around myself. So, but again, this isn't just about me. I want to say that I'm having to deal with a relapse, a second relapse. And I know there are people um, like, well, my adopted mother, Bessie, she had relapse after relapse after relapse and finally died of cancer. Well, which she had cancer, but for every treatment she had, there was a relapse and a relapse. They took her stomach out, they took this out, that out. They took a lot of things out of her before she finally passed away. Now, it took a bunch of years. She didn't get breast cancer, though, but she had every other kind of internal thing. So, let me read what you're saying. Yes, I was so happy to see you doing better. Hope we don't have a problem. Oh, we got a problem. We got a problem. That's why I got to have another MRI. Something is definitely wrong. Something's happened. And I didn't throw anything out of place the other day. I just went for a walk. And I was very careful. Um, and um, when Rob brought Duggar back and I walked around up the hill with the family, it was a wonderful day Sunday. But something's happened, and I damn sure didn't plan it. But much like other friends of mine who have had problems with cancer and other things, and you go in, the procedure goes well, and everything is positive, and they say, "Okie dokie, you're good to go," and then 3 months later they say, "Well, the good news is you've gained a little weight back and your health is better, but we found another polyp and and it's cancerous too. So we got to go back in there." Now that's happening with a friend of mine in Florida right now. Okay. So as much as there is good news and this is happening and you're being treated by one of the best surgeons and you're in a better hospital now and you're being treated better than you were in a previous hospital, but your surgery is 3 weeks out, and in the meantime you're going to have to be on high doses of antibiotics, and you're going to have to do this and you can't do that, and you will have to do this and you can't do that. So, and she's going through this right now. And it is about cancer. It is about saying that you're okay, but then now we got to go in and we've got to take the cancer out. So I understand how people are feeling, especially when, ow, 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 oh, oh, oh. And this isn't about complaining, although I would very much love to complain. Because it's like, now, yesterday, all I could do was go, "What in the hell have I done in the universe to deserve another relapse?" When I thought everything was going so smoothly, I was ahead of time with the physical therapist. occupational therapists were giving me thumbs up. Um, the staples are out, the incision looks great, but I can't walk again. What the F is going on? What did I do wrong? Now, with that said, I have not been taking my blood thinner since the incident that caused my first hematoma. I withheld it myself without really telling anybody until I saw that the incision and the staples were almost out, which was like about Saturday of, this last week, almost a week ago. And so my blood pressure was going up, and I thought to myself, maybe I should go ahead and start at least one of the blood thinners. So I did. That was Saturday afternoon ish that I started the Plavix back. So now by Tuesday, I couldn't walk. Okay. Now, what changed? Well, I started taking the blood thinner again. The cause for my last hematoma was the blood thinner for my heart. Legitimately, I supposedly have should have been taking it for the last 3.5 weeks, and I haven't because internally something said, "Don't take it. Hold off, hold off, hold off." So I started it Saturday because my blood pressure went up. So now I'm in this, I haven't taken it now yesterday or today. So now I'm looking at my situation going, did I create this by going back on the blood thinner? When in my heart, I was like, I don't know if I should be doing this, but my blood pressure was really up there and nothing's really changed except my lack of, not taking the blood thinner. So, did I create the situation? So, are there other people who are sometimes guilty of creating their own situation? I was talking with a friend of mine who said, you know what that plastic bag is that goes on the side of your stomach, and we was like, yeah, and she was like, the person was sort of a druggie and a little crazy, but not that the two are mutually, acceptable, but or connected. But the fact that he refused to keep it clean, and so it got infected. And so his point of view was the colostomy bag that he had after a surgery. He was like, I wish that they had just let me die because this colostomy bag is so horrible. Well, now there are other people who have lived for years, including my adopted mother, Bessie, that kept her colostomy bag clean. It didn't smell, and she acted pretty normal in a lot of ways. And so, led as normal a life as she could with it. And for years. So the idea that, colostomy bags in general are nasty, dirty, things that are always infected. No, it's the people who refuse to take care of it, which puts them in um, dire situations when those things get infected and so forth. So, there are times when the patient helps to create a situation. So, but somebody who's got cancer internally somewhere, they don't necessarily um, promote the cancer within them. However, there are some people that work negatively, and there are things like taking care of your pH factor and so forth. Um, but folks go through relapses in all different levels. My dad, Your dad had a colostomy bag. Yeah. Bessie had one for years too. Is it manifestation or does shit just happen? Well, that's my consideration of my current situation. What the hell did I do? Did I do anything, or is the universe just throwing me a freaking curveball? Yesterday, I was frantic and freaking out. I mean, I lost it for a while. I ain't gonna lie. I lost it for a while between screaming and crying and, oh, what the F is going on? Did I do it? Nobody has like created this. It's not the doctor's fault. Um, the surgery went well. My incision is looks great, and what the fudge? What the monkey fudge? That's what I've been saying. So Bob Hope had one too. People didn't even know. Yeah, I saw Bob Hope in his later years in Valdosta, Georgia, and it was an amazing thing to watch him perform. And I didn't know he had a colostomy bag, and he probably had it then when we saw him because he was up in age. But so okay, Sheila, I think she dropped out, but you're working in Moultrie. Good. There's going to be some things I'm going to need from the store that I thought I was going to be able to get on Wednesday, and it was all I could do to get in and out of the wheelchair at the doctor's office. So, yeah, unfortunately, it looks like I might have to go through this entire procedure again. So that means Duggar's going to have to go to the other neighbors, and when I get out, Miss Sheila and them, just keep an eye on the house. And oh God Almighty, here we go again. And that ain't counting getting back into the hospital, and that ain't counting, having to go through the. Okay, I right now I don't know, but I'm going to be out of milk in a day. I got a pack of cigarettes left. Um, there I wanted to get some bottled water because I one of these they've increased one of these drugs, which um, makes you thirsty and will dehydrate you too. So I can't get dehydrated even though I'm drinking a lot of fluids, but it's different kinds and it ain't water. So, and I don't know, I'm running out of sugar and a couple of other things. And so I really don't have a list, but I was going to go to the store and get them myself. But um, nope, that's out at the moment. And I don't foresee it, being any better soon. I don't need it today. I'm just in a, coming up by Monday, I'm going to be out of some things and then I might be screaming. So it's not immediate. Um, and I don't really know, you know, at the moment. Okay, gallon of milk and 2 pounds of sugar. That's my short list. Oh, and some more of my brand of cigarettes, the 305s, the 305 blue 100s. Yep, I could use a couple more packs of those. And I got money here at the house, so I'll trade you money for short supplies. Oh, and some bottled water. Yeah. And the big containers are fine. A couple of them big containers of water. Yeah, that would be nice. So, but other than that, I can't really think anything. I got some bread and some other stuff. So, um, that that's my short list. Thank you, Sheila. I appreciate it. I really do. I hate to even ask again, but on Saturday, this almost a week ago. I walked out to the truck without even a cane, got in it, found the key, started it up, and run it for a little while. I got to sit in the vehicle. I walked out there on my own, and it was a great feeling. And now I'm, like, oh, please, you know, I got to go let Duggar out, which I don't mind. It's been a pleasure having Duggar here. Thank you, darling. I appreciate it. I love you too. I was hoping I was going to be able to run down in the woods with you all this weekend because of how good I felt, last Sunday. And it really bothers me that I feel this way. It's really tough shifting, I tell you. I didn't come on for sympathy. One bourbon, one scotch, and one beer. If I was drinking, man, I would. I got some Jack Daniels sitting right up there on the loft. And if I was a drinking man, I even thought about just taking a good old swig of it. But with the meds I'm taking, I don't think that would be a good idea. As much as my brain is like, let's have a good old snort of Happy Jack. Some, some Tennessee bourbon. I've been to the Jack Daniels distillery, and it's something, let me tell you. Um, and I used to buy the big gallons in the crystal type things every year. They had different logos on them and had different shapes of the big glass bottles. And back then, it was like $500. You could buy. Uh, uh, I can't remember how many of those you would get, but they would make a small keg, especially for you, and that was like 25 gallons, I think. That's what it was. It was a 25-gallon keg, and they brewed them especially, and then that keg was yours, and they would bottle them in those fancy glass jugs, which contain a gallon, and with a special logo on it with the year and the date and a certificate. And your name would go into a special thing on the wall because you had bought 25 gallons. And I was like, I want to get enough money to be able to send my friends uh, a um, certified Jack Daniels, one of a kind, only 25 bottles, brewed and distributed. And, as part of the certificate, I could list who I gave the jugs to. Yeah, just one big straw. Yeah. Oh, and you got the keg too that it was brewed in. Now, I would bet that they're still doing it, but I'm sure the price has gone up. But just for shits and giggles, I was hoping that if I ever got rich, that would be one dumb thing. Like, well, what would you like to do? I'd like to have my wall, have my wall. I'd like to have my name on that wall where they have it's like a golden seal with my name on it that that I bought a 25-gallon uh, barrel of Jack Daniels. That I'm one of those folks that did this. That would just, to me, would be cool. Not in any particular sense. It wouldn't make me famous in any way, but it would sort of make me infamous in a way that I would have my name on the wall at the Jack Daniels distillery. You know what I mean? But but it's the fact that I would have 25 gallons of good Tennessee whiskey to be able to give out to my friends, or to share it with. you know if I could live another 25 years, I'd be able to drink a gallon a year at least if it was on my own, or more if I was in the mood. But I'd prefer to share that Jack Daniels. But um, you know, we could have relapses in our drunkenness when we would drink some of that Jack Daniels, with salute to life and happiness and liberty and justice for all. That'd be something to get drunk about. You know what I mean? But I don't really want to stick on the topic of relapses because there are so many people that are dealing with relapses. But I will say this, though. I decided late yesterday afternoon, after cursing and screaming and crying and thinking to myself, there are not many issues that would cause this. And it's highly likely that it's another hematoma because my back and the pain and everything is acting very similar, if not exactly like it did when I was in the hospital. And that scared me and terrified me yesterday that I was going to have to deal with this on my own. Now, I have agreed that if it gets too bad, which at the moment um, I've had a lot of steroid today and a couple of just like 2 hours ago, um, which is allowing me to sit here. But I'm at about a 7 in a dull ache down both of my legs right now, and I'm really stoned and fixing to smoke some more, which has got me to the point where I just don't give an F, you know. But so I'm hoping, I don't know how long I'm going to be able to maintain this at the house. And if it gets any worse, I'm going to have to go to the emergency room, which might speed things up. Because if I'm admitted into the hospital with the condition that I got because of the high level of pain, then they can expedite an MRI while I'm in the hospital. So it might behoove me to go that direction as much as I don't want to. Um, the Medicare system might force me to go to the emergency room. And if that's the way I need to go, then okie dokie, off I go. You know, have been through this scenario already twice before. I'd rather not do this again, but if that's what I got to do, then that's what I got to do. And it will put me back in the situation of, all right, so I can go to the emergency room, I can be admitted, I can go have the MRI sooner than waiting on Medicare, and I can also, I because it's an emergency situation, and that would also put me in line to have the surgery done, as it his surgery days are on Wednesdays and Thursdays. So if I went in on a Monday, for example, and had the MRI on Tuesday, they could slip me in on Thursday like they did the last time. So there's a little bit of method in my madness. I hope this doesn't have to happen, but you know we'll see. We'll see what happens. But for those folks who have to consider a relapse, now, I'm considering having to go through a whole nother major operation on my back. They're going to have to reopen this wonderful incision that's healing so well. Somebody was sending saying, I need some colloidal silver and some vitamin C. And I was like, that's really good, but I don't have a disease. I'm healing well with what I've already had and what I've got. And so, but thank you for that. I'm not having any problem healing with the muscles and the skin. It's something I've sprung a leak, is what I've been thinking. Somehow a blood vessel has sprung a leak along my spine and has created this, which is basically what happens. There are so many different blood vessels and things up and down, up and down the spine, that it wouldn't take much for one of those blood vessels to leak just a little bit, which would create this situation. And so, but the idea that they would have to split me open again and hose me off like they did the second operation is just downright scary to me. It went all right the last time. At the last two times, everything went okie dokie. And the fact that I started back on the blood thinners last Saturday, and within a couple of days, I couldn't walk, leads me to believe that the blood thinner is absolutely the issue. Fix a flat. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I've been thinking, why can't they go in there with like a needle or something and just suck that puppy out? But with all the information that I've gone through, and these are the questions I asked the last time, you mean you got to cut me open? Yep. We just got to hose you off. And I've described that they use a high pressure washer, basically, like you would use basically if you went to the car wash. Down at the car wash, baby. Except there's a suction part on it that is similar to um, 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 a Stanley steamer. But the fact that, you got to cut me all the way open, you guys haven't figured out how to just go into a certain area and just make an incision or insert a probe or something. You have to cut me the fuck all the way open again? Yep. And you got to hose me off? Yep. And that's the only solution? Yep. Oh, that sucks. Yep. It's not the surgeon's fault. There's no, at this point, who is to blame? Is it me because I had a good walk on Sunday and that my walking was progressing and everything was going fine? I didn't do any twisting or turning, not that I'm aware of. I think I would have known because it would have hurt, you know? So I'm being careful because, my body is limiting me to what I can do. So, the fact that, this would include a redo, yeah, because in my particular condition with my lower lumbar supposedly fused all together, there's not a disc out of place, there's not a vertebrae that's moved. Now maybe I would rather that happen, maybe that I could, like, adjust my back or something. But I've tried to do stretching exercises that Sunday I was like moving around and pulling myself around, and today I was like, what the hell has happened in the last 4 days? What the hell? And my blood pressure went from like oh wait, and this is nuts. My blood pressure was high and we didn't know why and still don't know why. But now on the 4th, which was Tuesday, it was 180, 168 over 96. It had gotten as high as that day, 158 over 101. It had been as high as 189 over 98. All right. It was way high. The physical therapist Monday called it in, Tuesday called it in, and yesterday, Wednesday called it in. And so yesterday it was high. Yours was high when you saw the bill. 139 over 79. Not too bad. A little high, but not too bad. So yesterday at 12:30 p.m. it was 166 over 92, which was high. So then I went to the doctor, and then he prescribed the steroids. And then we went directly to the pharmacy, and I immediately took two of them because it says before breakfast. Well, I cheated. I knew I needed to get them in me because the steroids has been one of the things that has been helping to keep the swelling down. So I gobbled two of them things, as soon as as soon as my friend brought them out the door, right? Down they went and swallowed it with some um, um, Mountain Dew, blackberry, one of my favorites. But so anyway, now on the way home and getting settled, which was very difficult. Um, so I got settled back here in the house, and at about 4:20 Wednesday, I took my blood pressure, and after the steroids, now it was already down to 140 over 75, which it hadn't been that low in a while, and all the readings that I've taken in the last couple of days. So after the steroids, um, my second dose, my blood pressure went down to 125 over 72. Now, that is a significant drop in blood pressure in just a few hours. Now, I don't mind it, but the thing is that I went from way up here to like shoo down here. Okay. Now it's been in this relative area. This morning it was 148 over 77. And that was before I took any of my meds or anything like that. So after taking meds, it was 136 over 74. And then an hour or so later, after having my afternoon meds, it was down to 121 over 78. So after my evening steroids, it's down to 116 over 58. Okay. So that was at 7:15 this evening. At 7:45 it was back up a little bit to 124 over 71. At 9:30 it was back down to 116 over 68. Now my pulse rate's been it got down to 54, then it was 58, 67. Now at 10:45 it was um wait, I'm sorry, 12:30. It was 116 over 60. At 1:30, it was 1 over 7 over 65. So my blood pressure has been steadily coming down, but it went from extremely high to, yeah, 189 over 114. Well, Miss Sheila and them took me to the hospital last summer when I was having my heart attack, and mine was 208 or something like that, 228, 218 over 198, and that's why they kept me. So yeah, but the fact that I was, almost 170 over 100, over 96 2 days ago, and in 24 hours with taking the steroids, and one of my medicines has been increased. It's been doubled. So now I'm down to 107 over 65. Now I'm complaining about the drop in pressure. So I'm sort of sitting here going, woo doo 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 doo. Yeah, holy schlot. I agree. So I called up the number, which is 24 hours for the sort of for the visiting nurses who've been absolutely wonderful. And they say, call anytime if you have an issue. So I called up and said, I'm slightly concerned about this extreme drop in my blood pressure. And I need to inform y'all because y'all were here yesterday and complained that my blood pressure was too high. You called up and called the doctors and woke them up and said, Doctor, ain't there nothing I can take? I said, Doctor, to relieve this belly ache. I said, Doctor, ain't there nothing I can take? Put the lime in the coconut and drink them both together. Put the lime in the coconut and you feel better. So, what am I supposed to do? So I call them up and they were like, well, what's so important about this? And I'm like, in the last 7 hours, my blood pressure has dropped 25 points. Phew. And it's staying here. And it's not leveled off at 116 over something. It's dropped now another 9 points to 107. So it's continuously dropping. Now, should I be concerned? Oh, well, have them call you in the morning. Give me the news. I got a bad case of loving you. Yep. Donna, Donna, Donna. Yep, yep. That's another one. Thank you, Scotty boy. I appreciate that. I love it. So, of course, my brain yesterday, and it was before I had any of the steroids. But what's interesting to me also is a correlation that when I was on the steroids before, my blood pressure was down and it was in the 120s and or below. Um, but then as soon as the last batch of steroids wore off, within a few days, my blood pressure rose 20 points and stayed there. So something that the steroids are doing, because the evidence to me is now that I'm taking the steroids again, blood pressure is obviously doing a nosedive, plus the increase in my Entresto. Anyway, one of the blood pressure heart medicines. And so I'm taking a double dose of that. So, okay, which I was already taking 1 times 2. Now it's 2 times 2. No big deal, but that has also been a factor within just the last 24 hours when the heart doctor called me and said, we want you to double up on this medicine. I said, okie dokie, no problem. So, um, there is the increase in that plus the steroids. Now, for me to look at the last case, to look at the previous situation, steroids have got something to do with my blood pressure. Maybe it's some kind of pressure around the heart. Maybe there's some other issue, which, God Almighty, I hope not. But it's to me, it's a clear sign that for whatever reason, the steroid is helping to keep my blood pressure down. I'm wondering if anybody knows about this. You know what I'm saying? So as I go along and see my 3 doctors now, I'm going to, toss this in there and show it to them because to me it's rather obvious. And plus, I got a log. And so it's important to me to keep up with this log and be able to describe the history of this, whether it's important to anybody else or not. But so, with the idea of the relapse and what my mental condition is, I'm pissed off at the universe. I am pissed off. Do you hear me? I am not happy with this situation. My back is arguing right now at the condition. And I'm hoping to Jesus that that I'll be able to hold out to have an MRI done without having to go in the emergency room. But I'm also have resigned myself that that's what if I need to do, I'm going to go ahead and do it. If I got to call an ambulance out here to get me, then that's what I'm going to do. I would rather not, but if that's what the circumstances are right, it is necessary, take me home, take me back, you know. I hope I get the 5th floor again. I hope I get some of them nurses. like when I was in last time. So, can I request the floor? Can I request the room? Put me in 501 again. That seemed to work out. Um, you know, but I'm honestly thinking of three other people that in similar situations with it's not back surgery, but it's internal issues like cancer or colonoscopies and other type of issues and heart cath issues and and stents in hearts and stuff like that, and them having continuous issues and relapses with their conditions. And it's like, oh, son of a bitch, I've joined the ranks of the relapsers. We should start a club. Like, wait a minute, you mean you had to go through this a second or third time? Yeah. You mean you had to go through? Yeah. Well, it wasn't back surgery, but it was this surgery. How many times did you have to go back to do that? Well, this is my fourth time. What? You know, I would rather this not be my third time, but I won't know until the tests are done. But again, what could be wrong with my particular situation only leads to one thing, and that is another hematoma. And that means going back in and having the same frickin' procedure done over again. And so for my friend, my long term friend, I won't use his name, he's had four operations on his back for similar condition in his lumbar, similar but not the same. And if he steps down wrong, he can slip it out of place and have to go have that surgery done again. So um, maybe I'm lucky, maybe I'm unlucky. I consider myself right now to be unlucky as hell. But I ain't the only person in the world that's having relapses of one form or another. Now, in my case, I can't blame it on anybody at this moment. And if there's anything to blame, I think it would be me starting the blood thinner back up. And against my own judgment, I was like, well, maybe I should do this because my blood pressure went up, not knowing that the reason my blood pressure went up was because the steroids ran out a few days earlier. And now that I'm taking the steroids now for a little over a day, I'm seeing that the steroids had everything to do with my blood pressure and it going up after I quit taking the steroids. So I went back on the blood thinners thinking that I was going to cure it. And I may have given myself this problem. The idea of that sucks. You hear me? The idea that I did this to myself, of course, without knowing, is almost like committing suicide. No, unintentional suicide. Ow, ooh, wow, ooh, ooh, yeah, whoa. There goes one all the way to the ankle. Son of a bitch. I've been sitting in this chair too long. 59 minutes, almost an hour. Wow, we're coming up on another 20. It's 5:14 in the morning. Well, we had a real 420 an hour ago. We can have it's 420 somewhere to those folks in the central USA. And um, do we need an excuse? You know, but I've been um, staying highly stoned. I don't have very much pain medicine. I'm using gabapentin and some tramadol, um, and that's about it. My heart medicine. But I know there's a lot of other people who are in pain. A lot of other people who are. My physical therapist, who was here on Monday, he's gotten sick and won't be able to be here tomorrow. So I'm going to have another physical therapist here tomorrow. His father had passed away last week, and they had his services and everything over last weekend. And then, now he's sick, and um, he's the type of fellow that he'd have to really be sick to have to take off a day. But anyway, so there are folks all around who are going through different types of turmoil and sicknesses, and Miss Sheila, who was in here earlier, you know, she and her husband were sick with different type symptoms here recently, and kept them down for a while. And sometimes it was reoccurring. You'd feel good for a day or so, and then all of a sudden, back into the relapse. It's 4:20 in your world. Oh, well, that's a really good excuse because it's 5:16 here. So keep me posted. I still got some in my bowl. Let me bump it around a little bit. It really could use a little bit of a refill, but if I flick the bottom around. Oh, it's always 4:20 in your world. I think whiteness already stained. Who rides bikes with white button up shirts everywhere? I can't ride a bike anymore. And I'm hoping I can get that back. But, so um one of the things that in my shaman thinking about this, okay, Dave, because Dave was screaming and jumping up and down, where Hawkeye had to take over the situation and put myself, um, hit one for me. I'm headed into the woods. Okay, you got it. Be careful. All kinds of things loom in the dark, but and not necessarily evil things. It's like stumps and tree limbs and bugs, and maybe a bird or two. And then there are woolly boogers, them big old boogers that just drip down and you can't get to. I'm slightly early. Cheers, everybody. So part of me, wants to complain, actually a lot, but I didn't come on here to make the complaint. I was like, in order to deal with this, I have to come up with a resolution or a resolve within my own self. Like, okay, the cancer patient who says, well, doctor, we did all the radiation, and the oncologist comes back and go, yeah, well, we still found something. Somehow we didn't get it all, or your tests have come back, and or we found it someplace else, which happened with Bessie, my adopted mother. And so, it was reoccurring and then reoccurring, and then a year went by and everything was okay. Then all of a sudden they had to go in and take out another organ. So I got perfect trails, not scared of the dark. Most You're more scared to walk in town than you are in the woods. I would agree with that. I would agree with that. I want to go walking on my trails so bad that are probably starting to get overgrown already. I was hoping I was going to be able to go through my woods well, with a chainsaw in a couple of places where there are trees down, and and cut a hole through them, the trees that is, and also with my weed whacker to eat back some of the bushes that have a tendency to close in. But I guess this is going to have to wait because, you know, yesterday, Thursday, was a month since my last operation. So the fact that I've had a relapse within a month just sucks. And I guess the good news in this is that had whatever has happened not happened, I would really be healing well. Because I was walking around on Sunday and my staples are out and everything is good in that area. And so, is it the universe? Was it any reason why I sprung a leak and somehow it's collected in my along my spine again? Is it anybody's fault? Is the universe just picking on me? Why is everybody always picking on me? Walks in the classroom cool and slow. Who calls the English teacher daddy? Oh, Charlie Brown. Oh, Charlie Brown. Well, now he's a clown. That Charlie Brown. He's gonna get caught. Just you wait and see. Why is everybody always picking on me? I think that was the coasters. You know, them things that you put your glass on to not ruin your table. The coasters. Yeah. But anyway, so yeah, there's the complaint, but then there's the sacred complaint. So the shaman inside of me had to say, Dave, you got to calm the frick down. You got to calm your ass down. Because I was freaking out. I ain't lying. I was not in a good mood, which was not helping my situation. And, you know, bitching and cursing at everybody I could think of, that ha- just at nothing and at everything. And pounding my fist and had to get it out. Cried a good bit at first. Just like, oh no, not again. Oh no, not again. Oh please, not again. No, no, no. The pain. Oh no, the pain. And the recovery time, because it'll take me another month. But if the creator kind of sort of deems it that way, then I could suffer and refuse to have it removed, which would, that's a decision I had not even considered. Like if there's one in there, we got to go get that some bitch out. I can't live like this. No, hell no. I was doing too good 3 days ago, 4 days ago. I could almost skip, hopney, skipney through the woodskis. That's from a play we did. But the idea though that, I can barely stand up now, and like I'm gonna have to, get off here in a few minutes because I've been sitting in this chair too long, and it's getting really uncomfortable to sit here. Um, Duggar's gonna have to move over and give me my spot to lie down. But I realize that I'm not the only person that's in pain in this world. And of the other people that I've mentioned before in this video, um, well, I haven't actually mentioned any names, but the incidents of people that I know, and they may be up early or late, or depending on how you want to look at it, because their world is upside down, and whatever their pain and whatever their illness or whatever their situation is, that they're still awake. You know, they're still trying to deal with what's going on. Everything is a test of our faith. Yeah, I thank you, Michelle. I hope I said hi to you earlier. Yeah, Universal roller coaster. Um, and I was dealing with everything really well, I thought, and I was doing everything by the book and not pushing it. And well, I was pushing it in that, if I could stand up out of this chair, which I was doing with hardly being able to push off, and standing straight up without having to climb up my legs like I had to do 2 weeks ago. Um, and even though it was 2 weeks ago, the amount of pain that I was having the other day, and I still am. Um, there goes one. Ooh, down to the ankle. My dear friend Rhonda, my sister Rhonda, went in with me when the doctor came in, and she's signed up as a now that the hospital and the doctors have her phone number and have her name, and she's sort of my next of kin because she's been taking me to all the my hospital visits, and so I consider her my little sister because I'm older. Good night, good morning. Peace out to you, Sheila. Thank you for all that you've done for me and all that you may do in the future. I really do appreciate it. And damn sure wish nobody had to wait on me. It's more good morning to her, Michelle, but because she's headed for the woods. Um, but so in the shamans look at this, it's like well, whatever the universe is trying to tell you, is this a mistake? Did something happen? Well, you know, we can say, well, shit happens. Yeah, and sometimes tornadoes strike in the same place twice. It just takes a while. Like in 84 ish, 85, when Hurricane Kate came through, a tornado came over the house, and I've talked about this a bunch over and tore down my neighbor's barn. And then a few years ago, when Michael came through, tornado came through, tore down the neighbor's barn again. So, what are the odds? Well, what are the odds that I would have a hematoma after the first operation? Well, could be like 50-50 in people, depending on their circumstances. You know, and now the suggestion that I might have another one, or it may have been that the same place ruptured because that has been described to me. There are a bunch of blood vessels that feed up and down your spine that keeps everything alive in you, especially along your spine. So you don't want anything clogged up with those blood vessels that are keeping your bones and everything, working. And I look at this as that I sprung a leak, because basically that's what's happened. A blood vessel has opened up enough and allowed there to be a little clot of blood that shouldn't be there. It should still be in the vein. So, but what's the chances of a month after surgery that I would develop this? Who knows? And what's the frickin' reason? I know this much, that despite however or whatever, that if the results are that I need to have it done again, then I got to have it done again. I have resolved already to the point where I don't really have a choice. I got to live with this, but it would just be plain stupid. Because because it really hurts. And it's very hard to move around. Where 4 days ago, I could just about jump up and down. Now I didn't, but I was getting up and down out of the chair very easily and on my own without assistance and da 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 and making progress. And everybody was proud, including me, like Lieutenant Dan. It's not what happens to us, it's how we choose to deal with it. Well, it's very god dog unexpected. It has made me not let necessarily look at things differently, but it has, because obviously major events like this in your life will make you look at things differently, whether you choose it or not. And so mine is, is rather more simple than other people with, fatal diseases or, like kidney dialysis or, there's a person, one of my classmates from 1970, Tampa Catholic, um, they were advertising recently that she needed a kidney. Um, and was anybody willing to donate or, possibly, consider donating? Um, they got to do the type thing. Um, but I had thought about it. But the thing is that I have a large cyst in my right kidney, and what good would it do to try to give one of my kidneys away when I'm already got a 40% blockage on my own? Wait a minute. So I'm already cut down to size, and it would be difficult for me to give up a kidney for someone when I'm already running at a deficiency. You know what I mean? So, and I can't remember what the left side is, but it was slightly blocked too. I think there was a 20% blockage. So between the two kidneys, I'm 60% less in, kidney flow kind of deal. So, should I give one up? I don't know. That would put me in danger. And I don't know if I'm qualified or not or compatible, but that's not the issue. But I thought about it. And I was like, well, here's a classmate, not that we were well known, but, we shared similar experiences going to the same school and all. And the bottom line is that she needs a kidney, you know. So yeah, but what about me? I mean, seriously, in my current condition, you know, it's not like I'm a young buck anymore, and I've got my own kidney issues. So, but in thinking about that, here she is that she's got to be on dialysis a lot. She's got to be, I understand, unexpected. Definitely expect to be changing diapers on my ass on my as of today 8-year old at almost 51. Understood about that. Here's something. Oh, talking about diapers. My dear friend Rhonda got a deal at a garage sale or yard sale, and now these are my new um, drip pads that I can put in my underwear or my jeans, and it's it's a men's Kotex, okay, that goes in. It's a men's panty liner for dripping pee, and I now have a case of 50 of them because a lady's husband died who needed these quite frequently, and my I have two friends that already use similar products, like the Pens underwear undergarments, and it was looking like I was going to have to go that way. Yeah, cool eye patch. I was considering, I had my elbows hurt, and I was like, man, put them on your elbows and tape them on, for, they're what other things could I use these for? Um, you know, If the soles of your feet hurt, you could put these in as a little simpler liner or something, Anyway, I'm just crazy that way. But an eye patch, you know, or you could put a hole on either side of this and use it as a sleeping apparatus to cover over your eyes. What do you call them things? But anyway, for the new today's man, yeah. And I mean, it's like one size fits all, but you take off the tape here and put it on the inside of your underwear, which I don't normally wear. Because one thing is that for wearing underwear, a sleep mask, thank you very much. Um, so if I wear underwear, it's two garments to get through to get your junk out, um, in order to pee. I know it's TMI, but for those of us who have to try to get it out quick so that you don't wet yourself and drip all over and have to change drawers or pants or be embarrassed if you can't change, um, you want easy access so that you can drop your drawers and not pee on yourself. But this is important at our age, especially to us men who have that issue. Now I know I had a girlfriend, had who had pee issues, and she wore a panty liner that was similar to this for the same thing. She also had like a depends, uh, not depends, an intends thing where that was connected to her and with a battery that was inside of her hip, and it went to there was a little something, and it gave her a little electric shock, and it reminded her that she had to pee. And so it would go off, but then between the time that she got the little zzz that said it's you're going to have to pee, um, the time that it sent the pulse to the time she could get to a toilet or whatever, she was already in the process of dripping, leaking, and otherwise, she's trying not to pee. She didn't have the sensation, and a lot of other people have that issue. But every 3 to 4 months, she had to go back in the hospital, and they had to recalibrate and sometimes replace the battery in her, um, to keep this thing working. Otherwise, she would just leak all over herself at any particular time. Without warning, she'd just be wet. And that's embarrassing. I'm sorry. That's horrible, to lose that sensation for whatever reason. Well, to have the sensation and not be able to react quick enough, so adding a set of underwear to a situation can actually cause you more trouble, than it. So, but the idea though that they have these and these are designed supposedly for men. I mean, on the box, it's like, men's undergarment, um, pad, you know, for leaking men, And so it's like, oh my God. And in a way, it sort of looks like a men's urinal, as it does. There's not a lot of stuff there. I was thinking about pouring a liquid on the pad to see whether or not it would swell up or not, like they do in the commercials. So, but the idea that, um, here's another thing to get tossed into the old age. Now, this I don't think has anything directly due to the operation, but because of the medicines and the water pill that I'm supposed to take every day. And I've skipped a few days because it leaking all over the place and having to pee in the parking lot of the doctor's office was embarrassing as hell, let me tell you. And I had to do it because I was fixing to do it all over myself. And that's just embarrassing. Um, so for other people and their problems, folks that have to stay catheterized all the time, or folks that have to wear a colostomy bag all the time, you know, at least they can cover it up, but it can be embarrassing at times because of circumstances. So there are millions of people out there, not just a couple of thousand or 100,000. There are millions of people out there who are suffering in some sort of way with these types of conditions. And guess what? They're reoccurring. You know, um, they have to deal with them just like diabetes. So you have to deal with that on a continuous basis. Why? Because you relapse, and if you don't take your medicine, or your sugar's too high or low or whatever. And a dear friend of mine, you know hadn't monitored his blood sugar correctly, and his blood sugar went too low, and he rode off the highway and hit a pine tree and killed him, because he was observed by an ambulance that was behind him in the rain, headed from Valdosta to Waycross, Georgia. There are things that happen to people, and his diabetes took him out way too early. So, yes, I have known folks, very dear friends of mine, and some folks that are more acquaintances rather than really close friends, but still, you know them and you've known them for years, and you find out that they've had testicular cancer and they've had to, chop his gonads off, and the cancer eventually killed him. Um, and for things like that, the relapses that people have had, even after having gone through extreme measures. So it ain't just me, but the fact that for some reason I'm joining this. I wouldn't necessarily call it an elite group, but of folks who have had relapses and have to undergo the same procedure or similar procedures over again. And the fact that the first thing that comes to your mind is the universe is just screwing with me big time. And the frustration and anger that I had, within 30 minutes of trying to figure this out, and what another MRI meant, and just processing, oh my God, oh, holy crap. And then the anger, and then the frustration, and then the holy shit set in. And I'm still kind of a little bit in the holy shit mode, but I've already talked to her. Sheila was on earlier. She's my next door neighbor. I know they'll help take care of the Duggar, but Duggar's already made friends with the family, so he can just go back with his other family. Um, and is there anything else? Well, I'll try to pay my electric bill and everything, and phone bill ahead of time, and take care of this or that. So that won't be an issue. And since we've already done this once, we've all had practice. So I told my friend Rob, I said, so we've had a not it, you can't necessarily say a dry run, but we've already had a practice run. So, to have to go back in the hospital and redo this, okie doke, I'm resigned to it already. If that's what's got to happen, I can scream and cuss and jump up and down all day long, but it won't fix the situation. And, you know, all of the prayers and good wishes for healing. I'm not saying folks should stop, and I appreciate it, but, you know, wishing this thing would disappear, I would like to have a miracle to where it disappeared and they wouldn't have to cut me open again. Um, but the odds are that's not going to happen. Oh well. Oh well. Cheers. Oh well. I'm gonna stay really stoned, um, as much as I can and as much as I can afford. Um, but I know this: I have made good connections with the nurses and the staff at the doctor's office who were able to push the surgery through quicker than a lot of other patients. And the first operation and the process went very smoothly. Love you too, attached. And so these ladies, have talked to me when we were at the office on Wednesday, just the other day. And they were like, we're going to take care of this. We'll get you, we're going to get, we're behind you. We're going to do this. And don't worry, because they took care of it the first time. So the fact that now it's more necessary as an emergency type situation to get this done, where before it was an elected surgery. I want to have this done. Now it's, I have to have this done. So there is an extra bit of urgency in this, um, and that they were very good the last time. So somebody had asked me yesterday about it, and I said, I have complete faith in the staff at the doctor's office. And the fact that he had my medicine called in before I left the building, and the fact that they had already received it in Moultrie and that we could drive up there and pick up my meds. Um, and that they had already put in process the MRI thing. So it's a matter of scheduling now. But the fact that it has to get done, okay. So all the therapy and everything I've had up to this point has not necessarily been wasted, but the fact that I would have to go back through this again and that it will take another month. Well, I remember when a friend of mine had to have stomach, he had issues, a stomach ulcer, they thought he had cancer, and then he did have cancer, and they had to go back in. And so they went in to get some kind of something out, and it went very well. And then I don't know, it was like 3 or 4 months later, he started really having issues, and they did some more tests, and they were like, "Oh, holy crap! We took out this thing, but there was cancer near it. We got to go back in." So I know that people have relapses in different ways, and it's interesting that I have joined the club, I guess, for whatever that club is. So, but anyway, I've been on here an hour and a half, and it's good to see you all. How do you feel as though your mission on earth is done? Nope, this is another trial and tribulation for me for some reason. Um, and I haven't given up faith or anything. It's just, damn, what the fuck? You know? Are you serious? Again, I got to do this? What the hell is this trying to teach me? And uh, so, in the last day, because this is all very new, within the last 20, well, now it's been about 48 hours, but, and the development has been within the last 4 days since Sunday. I know what you mean with different circumstances. Absolutely. You know, shit happens in the universe, and we do. I thought I had this thing licked, My back looks so good after they took the staples out. I say yesterday because I still feel like it's Thursday. So yesterday, Wednesday, it went very well. Took them last 11 staples out. I got them saved over here in a napkin and couldn't ask for a better healing with the skin and the muscle. But whatever leak I've developed on the inside, how could I foresee that? Or how could any of us foreseen that? Well, that happened once, and that was the result of them putting me back on the blood thinner. Well, I put myself back on the blood thinner on Saturday last week, and by Tuesday, I had developed this problem. So, unbeknownst to the doctors, I have been withholding my own blood thinner medicine because I didn't want a similar situation to happen. So, my wonderings and thoughts are, oh, holy crap. I waited and waited and waited and waited and waited till my back was healed, which was my internal agreement. And I'd said this to other people. I'm not going to take them blood thinners until I can see that my back is healed. So I thought I'd waited long enough, but apparently not. Because to me, what caused this situation? I started back on the blood thinner last Saturday. And within a few days, pop goes the weasel, which was exactly what happened while I was in the hospital. They started me back on the blood thinner, and within 2 or 3 days, I had developed a hematoma. Pop goes the weasel. So, am I to blame? At this point, my guys are going, yeah, I'm actually to blame. I started back on the. Now I was supposed to have been on it 3 weeks ago, okay? And it was my decision not to take it. And guess what? I was right. Shit. Damn it. Thought I had this in the bag. All the tests were good. All my progress with the physical therapist and the occupational therapist, thumbs up. All the healing, all the visiting nurses that have been keeping an eye on me and changing my dressing. Miss Rhonda and Miss Sheila, who've been, feeding me and taking care of me and bringing me stuff, and Rhonda taking me to the hospital and so forth, and the doctors and so forth. Couldn't ask for more, and all of this healing and prayers. Absolutely cannot say thank you all. Presents in the mail. Someone had sent um, um, some 4x10s island dressings, that cover these types of things, and also some sterile pads for wiping and cleaning and putting over wounds. And they both come in handy. Sent a grabber in the mail, or, you know, actually it was FedEx, I guess, or whomever, um, to be able to use around the house for grabbing stuff. And it has come in handy as well. So there are folks out there that have physically sent me things, and I absolutely appreciate it. And I know y'all have been sending me prayers, and like I've said in other videos, I can feel the prayers coming at me, and the healing has been great. And why this had to happen, I don't have a clue. I really don't know. But I spent my time yesterday being pissed off and being pissy and being in a bad mood and crying and whining and cursing, and I'm done with that. So the folks out there that have relapses and who just have problems in general, be pissed off, but then gather your wits and gather your wisdom and gather it together and say, "Okey doke, you know, I don't like this one fucking bit, but I gotta maintain my dignity, I guess. I just can't, I've gone off the rail already, and I'm kind of sort of, a little disappointed in myself. And then I was chastising myself for getting pissed off earlier. And then I was like, fuck that. Wait a minute. I have every right to curse and scream and grumble and pound my fist if I want to. I might have to go through this thing again. Hell yeah. I've got every right to do that. And I can see why other people pound their fists and are, but it I can't stay that way. And I can't be that way for long. But I have every goddamn right to be pissed off. And so I did. But then Hawkeye kicked in. Because I can say that that Dave part of me, was the one that was absolutely so frustrated and everything. And after Dave had his tantrum, as I would consider it, Hawkeye stepped in and said, "Okay, Dave, we got to calm down." But Hawkeye, son of a bitch, motherfucker, son, goddamn, god, fuck, what, calm down, Dave. Take a deep breath. Call the doctor, woke him up, said, "Doctor, ain't there nothing I can take?" And basically, I did. I called my doctor, and because the nurses that were here and the physical therapists were calling the doctor, going, "His blood pressure's up and he's having problems. And we can't even, I don't even want him to do exercises today because I'm so scared of his current condition." And that was on Wednesday morning. So it's like, now what do we do? Right. So the doctor, one, was alerted, and I got the test results back from my heart echo thing of about 2 weeks ago, and they came back good. So while the guy was on the phone, who I've talked to before and have met before in the office, I tell him, I say, my blood pressure's up, and they want me to do this and I'm on that. What should I do? So he said, "Well, let me get back with the other nurse and so forth, and I'll call you back," which he did, and said, "I want you to start taking twice as much of this medicine, and we'll make sure you have extra called into the pharmacy." Good deal. Good night, Michelle. Sleep well. Well, I'm fixing to get out of here too because it's almost been 2 hours and I'm cramping up and hurting up and I really got to move. I said that an hour ago. I know you will. And I'm sending prayers out to everybody too. Despite my condition, I still continue to pray each and every day that each and every one of you will continue to learn how to accept and receive the knowledge, the healing, and the wisdom from the universe. Because the only way I've been making it through here this last couple of days is by focusing on the universe and receiving cosmic energy to be able to cripple myself around here to get by, and knowing there are other people out there that are in worse or similar similar conditions to mine, are going through similar pain, if not more. But if you're having nerve pain that's shooting down your legs and the sciatica, and mine has been like constant. Right now, it's sort of about a 6.5 dull ache coming down through the middle of my buttocks, running down the bottom legs all the way to my ankles. Sitting in this, I've been moving my legs while I've been sitting here talking to y'all. But you know, my feet are starting to swell because of this chair. The back of the cushion here cuts off the circulation to my thighs, and it helps my ankles to swell up. But um, the I consider other people who are having relapses or similar conditions, and my prayers go out to them because oh my God, now I'm part of that. I'm part of that club for whatever it is, and it's the oh my God club. I got to do this again for whatever it might be. So my heart goes out to other people, which is like, I'm talking about my condition, but that's to update y'all. This has become personal, but it's also from my Hawkeye's point of view, from the shaman in training's point of view. What the hell lesson is tied into this? Is this like a personal thing? Am I being picked on by somebody in the universe that says, hey, listen, we're going to have to torture you one more time? Like, what? Hang on. When I had my leg broken in high school, there was the fact that my leg grew crooked, and it was a half inch shorter than the other one, and ruined my life for any kind of sports or anything, which I was very much into, running track and everything. I got a picture on the wall over there for me being selected for the when we won the track meet that year in high school, state B class, Tampa Catholic, and is now in the Hall of Fame at Tampa Catholic because we did that back then. So, and then the next year my leg was broken and that ended that. So, any career in sports, or which I was getting pretty damn good at, even at that young age. So, have lived through that and the frustration of that over my lifetime. And then having to go back in and I had to have corrective surgery. And I was in a cast for 14 months, and lived on crutches and canes, and you know one leg still shorter than the other, and has caused sciatica over the years, and is not necessarily exacerbating my current condition, but it is a part of it, my left leg being shorter than my right. So I have learned a particular gait as I walk, if you will, and I'm trying to correct it. And now this relapse, yow, I have to be careful how I move. Yowza, yowza, yowza. And I'm in the process of in between pain medicines and the steroids. And the pain meds are running out because it's been um, it's been a full 7 hours, and I can take them every 6. So I've been trying to stretch it, and I've stretched it like I'm fixing to take one. You ran out. You ran at school. I ran. You ran from school. I kind of sort of did too towards the end. Um, I damn sure ran away from the church. That was, one of them things that happened. But um, so I know that I've had my opportunity to complain about my own situation, but at the same time, the shaman in me had to say, listen, Dave, you listen here, Dave. You ain't the only one that's had relapses for whatever the reasons, whether you want to call it a cosmic joke, or the devil be playing tricks on me. You're You're welcome. Just look at the cool eye patches. Yeah, yeah. It's just another. It's another hiccup, but yeah, I am Scotty boy. I haven't given up any of that. That's what I'm trying to explain. The shaman part of me is going, look at other folks that I know personally who have had hiccups a lot worse than this one, and I'm not sure how this if there's any kind of clot there, it's going to have to be redone. I would like to hope that there's something else, but there's really not anything else that could or would have happened. Especially in my current state of how bad it hurts and how it hurts. And, when I'm walking, the stabbing pain that almost collapses my legs. It's a horrible feeling, and I'm back down to crouching. It's all I can do to stand up straight, which I was doing great at. I was walking, standing tall, and walking across the yard, and Miss Sheila was down here on Sunday. They were down in the woods and came up and said hi to me. And I was walking around in the yard with them for a few minutes and without a cane or anything and feeling perfectly healthy. And now I'm like, what the fuck? So, but there are other people who are having well, I say similar situations, similar in that they're having relapses. And, I love these new eye patches. Oh, and they bought me some under drawers, um, the supporting kind too, that I can put these in, which I was grateful for. But in my thinking about how I use these pads, um, you know, how do I get my pants down and my underdrawers down in time for me not to leak over everything? I know that's too much information, but there are millions of people who have dribble problems, and it's very, very embarrassing. And I can see why they sell these things in cartons of 50. I mean, if you dribble once a day for a month, that's 30. So 50 in a box. And if you have problems where you dribble twice a day, then 50 might not be enough to get you through a month. So wait a minute. So the idea of packing 50 of these things in a box and selling them, buy 3 boxes in a case, which is the box that's over there. So you get 150 of these things for X amount of money straight from the company, and there's no particular brand name on these. So there is no brand on them, but they're made like the brand names. So I don't know how much this cost, but Miss Rhonda got a deal on these things, So, and I'm grateful for that. But cheaper to leave it hanging out. There's nothing to hang out. I have to go digging to find the damn thing, you know. Um, just like some other folks that I know, it's like, where did the damn thing go? So when you're dribbling and you're in an embarrassing situation to begin with, you know, um, there is no pulling down the zipper and trying to yank it out. No, you have to, everything's got to come down past that so that you can pee. Okay. That's too much information, but so many of us are wearing sweatpants. And now I know why certain people that I know wear sweatpants, because you can just drop them quick and get to your business. And that's that. So wearing different layers of clothes keeps you from cheaper to believe it. It was there yesterday. No, it's been a couple of years ago, but it used to be there, But the idea that, how you would normally take care of business, nah, everything changes. All the parameters have changed. And women have to drop their drawers anyway. But the fact that when they get the feeling, and the fact that by the time they get the feeling, you know, and it's the same thing with men. By the time you get the feeling, you're already dripping. You're already, it's, and you don't want it to. You're trying your best. You're hoping. You're wishing, and ain't it ain't working. You know. So the fact that they have these that are supposedly, especially for men, you know, um, I was trying to think, you could put a couple of these together and almost use them for mittens, you know. I don't know, but put them on your forehead and wear them like this or something. Put a couple of them together, put them inside. You could put them inside a bike helmet. And I've got a bike helmet upstairs actually that is uncomfortable. These would be perfect padding inside, Uh, I'll find uses for them, but I got 100 of them. Two cases of 50. I think she got the case for like $7 or something like that. So I'm like, well, that's nice. Where I don't know how much they cost at the store, but the fact that she was able to get a good deal on them and help the lady at the yard sale. But anyway, it's been almost 2 hours. It's almost 6:20. Yeah, it is. All right. I got a little bit left in my bowl. Earmuffs. Yeah. And you could, kind of, there's enough of these. These are really thin, but you could layer them. Um, I'll keep you updated. Yeah. I could see where, women could use them for shoulder pads, you know, it might work better. Let's see. Don't look at it in the mirror. In the this way. Yeah, it'd be this way. The big part on the shoulder. Or maybe it would look better this way with the pad sticking down the shoulder like that, you know. Shoulder pads. I've already looked at it for elbow pads. They're a little weird for knee pads, but you might be able to use them in your shoes. Not necessarily Dr. Scholl's, but that little bit of something. Maybe your feet sweat. You could put them as sock liners. Spray a little bit of something on them and help keep your feet fresh. Or put some baking soda, powder in there a little bit and put them in your shoes. you know, who knows? Other than being dribble pads for men's underwear. But I'm glad that they have things like that. I thought about it years ago when my girlfriend, she had issues with her uh, urinary tract, and actually, I guess it'd be more of her kidneys, but to the point where I'm dribbling now too, where you lose the sensation, and all of a sudden you've wet yourself. And I've got several guy friends who have been in similar situations now, and they're younger than me, and they've had problems for a couple of years. Well, I've made it to 70 without having that issue, so I guess I'm lucky. But sometimes, that's the good news. And the bad news is now I got the similar condition. Now I have to use pads. Now I have to be aware of these things. Well, the good news is I made it this long without having that issue. But the bad news is now I got it. Now I have to change my own parameters, you know. Yeah, I'm 70. Yep. There are a lot of people who don't believe that, but I am. Born in 1952, weighed 6 pounds, and my eyes was blue. I'd written a poem way back in the day, and I made it rhyme. But anyway, I don't look a day over 69 or a month over 69. Yeah. That was my favorite number for a long time. But also as a Libra, I think that's the sign, is the 69 sign. I'm not kidding. But it's all right. I don't take offense to it at all. You know, there are some things that like really do get to me, but even those now just roll off my back. You just got to let things go. And this is one of them. So I didn't spend the whole day yesterday screaming and hollering, but there was a period on Wednesday evening, before the drugs took effect and before I could get really stoned. Oh, speaking of which, it's time, ain't it? Oh, in a couple of minutes. All right. Because I'm going to do this one. It'll be 2 hours and then I'm going to sign off with y'all. I honestly do pray each and every day, even in sometimes my worst conditions of pain. I think of all y'all out there and other folks that I don't know who are in similar or worse conditions than mine. And I send out prayers. And there are some folks that go, why do you spend the energy praying for other people? Well, I just feel that if I do, I'm spending it on myself just seems selfish. And I'm hoping that the universe is going to bless me because I believe. And so, because I believe and I believe and I believe, then why wouldn't I send prayers out to other people? Because if I believe on the level that I hope that I do, then I'm not worried about myself. It's a bitch I got to go through this again. It's a bitch that I am absolutely suffering. Like right now, I got a cramp that's about to kill me. And I literally have to get out of here. But um, the idea, though, that, to pray for myself just is selfish and in a way foolish, because if I have to pray for myself, then I don't believe. I don't believe in what I'm sort of preaching, you know? Because if I accept and receive the knowledge, the healing, the wisdom, and the many blessings from the universe that I'm hoping that you all will continue to learn, then I already know that the blessings are going to come to me because I've already accepted it. And I believe that when I need them, they will be there. And whether or not you all are a part of it, which I know that you are, but I accept that the universe is going to help me. As I ask and say, listen, y'all know I'm down here, right? Yeah, okay. Well, I believe that the help will be there. I believe that the prayers and the energy, whatever is necessary for my healing, because I believe in that. So I obviously don't want to spend any time on myself. In fact, when I was in the extreme pain in the hospital, one of the things I focused on was prayers for other people. And because I was like, the good Lord's going to send me whatever energy and I'm going to get through this. But think about the other people that for whatever reason, whatever's been happening to me or for me or whatever, we got what, 2 minutes? It's that to remind me, I guess, but there are other people out there who are suffering even worse than I am. And as much as I want to cuss and scream and jump up and down and cry and, beg for, I was like, sweet Jesus, take this off of me. Don't let this happen to me again. But it looks like it is. We'll see. Still have to have the test, but the pain is such that, it's leading to another hematoma. So, but I think of all the other people who've not had the opportunity. Oop, it's a 20. So people in the mountain zone, it should wait, or on the West Coast, it should be 4:20 to them. I, is that right? Or Central Mountain Time? Happy 20. And I don't want this to sound odd, although it may to some people. And I've accepted this years ago as a warrior for Christ. 320 to you, Scotty? Yeah, one more hit. I'm Popeye the Sailor Man. I live in a garbage can. I'm strong to the finish 'cause I eat me spinach. I'm Popeye the Sailor Man. Toot toot. So, to all you all out there who are suffering with some kind of pain or turmoil in your life, and sometimes the pain is mental. And one of the first things my brain wanted to do was be depressed. With the crying and the pounding of the fist that I did yesterday, it was unseemly and unkindly, and I was embarrassed for myself and glad that nobody saw it. Because after a little time, and it didn't really take me long, but I absolutely am here to admit that it is cathartic to the heart and to the soul and to the mind to go ahead and be pissed off about it, to go ahead and get mad. But it's the length of time in which you do it, to me, is the key. And after my training, after all of these years as a shaman in training, it is absolutely key to any situation. Be mad when things piss you off, but then take control of the situation. Whatever the situation that ticks you off, but the wisdom over my many years is that I tried to not be human. And the lesson to me as a shaman in training was, listen, you're still a human being, but as a shaman in training, you can still be human, but you still have to use wisdom. And the wisdom comes in how long are you going to allow yourself to be mad or angry or depressed or whatever the situation. Now, one situation that doesn't apply is being happy. You can be you can be happy if you mind to. All you got to do is knuckle down, buckle down, do it, do it, do it. Well, you can't roller skate in the buffalo herd. No, you can't roller skate in the buffalo herd. No, you can't roller skate in the buffalo herd. but you can be happy if you were mine too. So, with that kind of thought process, you can be happy if you were mine too. So, but, so cry when it's necessary and don't be ashamed. But what you can be ashamed of is how long that you cry. That's, um, that song was Roger Miller back in the 60s, about 66 ish. All you got to do is knuckle down, buckle down, do it, do it, do it, do it, do it, do it. I'm ad libbing now, but um, but anyway, in the crisis of a situation, you just have to take a hold of it with the wisdom of, all right, being mad ain't going to do any good. All right, being angry ain't going to do any good. Now, as far as the pain and the discomfort, and you know, if I got to go back, well, I got to go have the MRI, so that's an inconvenience in and of itself. Got to crawl back in that machine and endure the pounding and the noise and the pain that it produces for me and my spine. Got to do it all over again. Okey doke. So you got to resign yourself that there are certain things that, here we go again. Well, at least I've had practice. So this will be my third MRI in less than 6 months, kind of thing. Because I had one in December, and it was the end of December. So January, February, March has only been 3 months. So, in less than 4 months, this will be my third MRI, and it'll actually be my second MRI in a month. So, oh boy, you know, how many people get to experience that and going through that procedure? Not that I necessarily feel lucky about it, my friends, but here we go again. So, um, at least I've had the practice. At least I know what's coming. So I know what to expect and what the feelings are. And so I can prepare myself mentally um, for that. Because the last time I went through it, I was asking the universe to please help me through that, the time that I was in there. It was so painful. I'm hoping that's not going to be the same, but it's probably going to be very similar. So, um, but I can prepare for it ahead of time because at least I've had that connection. Better to be pissed off than be pissed on. That's been the expression for a long time. But there was years ago, and I can't remember who it was. I remember they were on with this lady who was trying to be a professional journalist. She had her own channel for a while. It's still around, but she hasn't done anything on it for a while. One of the persons that she interviewed on a regular basis apparently got arrested by the feds for some of the stuff that he was preaching about, legal things and legal jargon and what it means to be, what it means to be certain things in court and just other stuff. And he ended up in jail and he was like 75 years old or something. R. Kelly. Is that who you think I'm talking about? No, this was somebody else. But anyway, but she's no longer, putting stuff out there. Um, but the idea that some of the people that she had on, but anyway, it was one of the persons that she had was talking about Saint Germain. And I was like, yeah, well, I talk to him all the time and gives all me this information. And some folks like that I take with a grain of salt. I know I've gotten messages through the grapevine from my Mother Mary source, but it ain't like she ain't got time to stop and chat with me. And the same thing they have. talk to me, my spirit guides. Now they talk to me a lot. But the fact that, a got time to stop and chat with folks with the amount of information that they seem to impart, which has all been good, mind you. And one of the things that I sort of learned from this person who was imparting this information from Saint Germain directly, now maybe he really was. I don't discount him, but like I said, I take some folks that are so positive. Oh, we had a 2 hour conversation. And, oh, and him. Okay, what I'm more what I my spirit guides have said that he has gotten downloads that were related, but he wasn't actually talking directly to. It's like my spirit guides relay a lot of stuff, from different areas. So can I get Mother Mary vibes and emails kind of sort of stuff? Yeah. And I've talked about this before because there's like an essence to them. And I know it's from her, but it ain't from her directly. It comes via my spirit guides. But I know it's from her. So it's like here's a message from her, and they deliver it. So I know it's there and I know it's her. And so my thing about some of these other folks is the message is real, but you ain't necessarily talking to the guy because there are other people who are claiming the same thing. Well, I talk to Saint Germain on a regular basis. There was this lady that, but she's not doing anything on YouTube either. And I talk to Mother Mary all the time, and she sits in while I'm having coffee and we do this and that. And I go, okie dokie. Now there's another one. Now this has been a couple of years ago, but there was another one who was, I'm talking to Mother Mary all the time. We're having these conversations. I'm okie dokie. And then there's this other person that I'm talking to Mother Mary all the time. And I'm like, so there was three different people back a few years ago. We're all claiming to have these long conversations with Mother Mary. And my message at the time was, it ain't me, meaning whoever they were talking to and chatting with, because she said, I'm too busy to stop and chat with them. And it was an email delivered to me, and I knew it because I was like, all right, I've had my messages. I've had her appear. I've had messages when I was younger, and I've had my conversations. And so, wait a minute, three of you claiming to have all this time. And Mother Mary's message to me was, I ain't got time for this. I will send you an email with a topic like my spirit guides do, and you'll take it from there. And it's a really quick little ping, and I know what it is, but having long conversations are like, nah, I don't have time for this. I'm busy doing larger, bigger things, and I don't have time for these chats. And not to say that these women are bad, but whoever they're talking to for all these lengths of time ain't me. Now, all of these ladies, whoever the entities were that they were chatting with, all gave out good information. And there was nothing that I could see because I listened to them, and there was nothing that I could see that was wrong. But at the same time, the messages for my spirit guides were, you know, sorry, gang. Um, they may be similar, and you guys might, and some of the topics that these three people talked about, claiming to have these long conversations with Mother Mary. Um, I was just like, some of the topics, they were very similar between the three of them. And I don't know if the three of them knew each other or whatever. So, but I just watched and I observed, and they dropped out one by one. They just gave up with what they were talking about. And I was like, now that's interesting. Their channels they just quit. They quit talking about Mother Mary. They quit talking about any topic. They just quit. And there's been a couple of other people who were on this topic of spiritualism and how much they grew and how much they wanted to spread to other people and how much their destiny was to teach people about spirituality, and they ain't around neither. And I've listened to these people and I gained some knowledge from these people, but they ain't around no more for whatever the reason is. But in my brain I'm like, because there were some things that I questioned, and I even got in the chat and was like, you're telling me this thing, but can you dis- describe it in any way? And this one particular man versus a woman who I was talking to got very upset with me in the fact that why would you even um, um, doubt what I'm saying? And it wasn't that I was doubting it. I wanted him to explain it a little bit if he could, what he meant by what he was saying. There's a certain feeling that he had. And I was like, okay, can you describe it a little more? Is there anything else? Well, what, you don't believe me? And I was like, now, as soon as he got defensive like that, like, what, you don't believe me? I was like, now, how do I deal with this? It was like I tried to get out of it, but it didn't work. I said, look, I believe you. And I said, but is there any way that you can explain it better? Another example or something like that? He got really defensive then. And from that point on, but he soon disappeared from the scene. He quit making videos. I think he still has a channel open. And I think I've seen him in other chats with other people, before. But I wasn't trying to question him at all. I was like, I want more information. And he took it absolutely wrong. And so these folks who have claimed to be so connected to the spirit world, for me, where are they now? That reminds me of a Zappa song. Concentration moon over the camp in the valley. Concentration moon. Wish I was back in the alley with all of my friends still running free, hair growing out every hole in me. Anyway, a little break. Nicholas, Grand Rising. Grand Rising? That. I am not welcome at most. Well, you're always welcome here. Sometimes the apple cart's got to be dumped over. It just has to be. Or, you put the good apples on top. Because back when I was a kid and peddled from door to door in Tampa, I peddled fruit and stuff and worked for different vendors. And you peddled different fruits. And as you walked through the neighborhood with the wood carton, it would bruise the tomatoes. And the women would look at the tomatoes and go, well, that tomato is bruised. And you'd go, well, yes, ma'am. Well, it's because you've been walking for a half a mile trying to sell the damn things that you bruised the tomatoes by walking. And so it's like, so what do? You put all the good tomatoes on top just before you go up and knock on the door. And so they buy them and they go one or two tomatoes down, and then on the bottom are the ones that are bruised, and you learn how to turn them so they don't find the bruised tomatoes, which are still good. They've just been dented a little bit from walking with the crate, and there's a little line across the mater, and but they don't find them until they take out all the tomatoes. But if you didn't do that, you would never sell the tomatoes, and you ended up taking a loss, and you ended up paying the vendor because you had bruised tomatoes. So it was like a clockwork orange in a way. It was definitely a catch 22 or maybe a catch 44. Who knows? But at the same time, as a 12 or 13-year old trying to make a little bit of money, those kinds of things. And you learned really quick how to fool the customer. There was nothing really wrong with the tomato, but it was slightly bruised. But if you showed it to them on top, they wouldn't buy that crate. They wouldn't buy you know, that thingy, the pint or whatever, the container it was in. So, but anyway, but life is like that. You got to take the bruised ones too. Hey, Nicholas, it's my last day off of spring break. Well, hope you do well. Well, we ended up taking a lot of them home. Just well, son, you didn't sell that basket or that basket or that one. You had seven, but three of them you came back bad, so you took a loss. you know you had to eat the price of them three, so you didn't make any money. If you made $1, you was lucky. But the man who was selling the tomatoes to us to go and peddle, he made all of his money. So we did the work of selling them, and the ones that we couldn't sell, he sold them to us anyway. So he still made a profit. So he made out like a bandit. He liked us kids working for him. But we had to learn along the way too. So what we did was we took the tomatoes and set up our own little stand on the side of the street. And anybody that rode up and down, or any of the neighbors around, we sold them for half price, because if we wanted to get something out of the tomatoes. So, but anyway, so I said I was going to get out of here after 2 hours, and I'm still yapping. But we have to, sometimes those bruised tomatoes, we end up making tomato sauce. Or as kids, when it was hot, they was good with a little bit of salt on them, just eating them the way they was. So, and it kept us healthy as youngins back then. 10, 11, 12-year-olds back in the 60s, working on the street selling maters and watermelons and different kind of vegetables. You know, it was interesting growing up like that. We always had some kind of scheme going on. Sometimes it was legal and above board, and sometimes it was a little shady, and sometimes it was downright illegal. But we was kids and we was growing up, so that was that. It's a quarter to 5 a.m. here in Utah. Well, it's 6:44. Yeah, it's a quarter to 6 here in Utah. 5? No, it's a quarter to 7 here. 2 hours difference. That's what I thought earlier. It was 2 hours difference. So cool. I was right. I'll tell you, I've driven through all three time zones, and it was just weird every time we kind of went back, when I went west and then came back and back to the east. It for me, it was a strange feeling. And driving it, it was sort of a slow motion change each way we went, but still the time zones being in a different one. It was just strange. Well, on the East Coast, it's this o'clock, and we were like, well, okie dokie. But there was also, for some reason, now I'm just crazy and anyway, but it seemed for every time zone, there was also a different feeling. And I couldn't explain it. I still couldn't now. Um, but, when I was in the mountain zone, there was just a certain feeling while we were in the mountain time zone. But then also when we moved into the Pacific time zone, the West Coast is just totally different. I mean, the way people think and move and just the general energy and the way stuff is, just different than us over here on the East Coast. However, we all live at the same time, but in different time zones. So whatever is going on now, here in my neck of the woods, it's like, sunrise, it's getting light outside and should be at this time. Um, it's 5:45 in the house, because I refuse to change my clocks. Oh, and I found somebody else. I think it was one of the nurses that called me, um, or pharmacist ladies. But anyway, in talking to her, I said, I refuse to move my clocks forward. And she was like, no way. She goes, I don't set my clocks forward. She goes, the hand, the hand set clocks. She goes, the digital clocks, they change themselves. But she said, if I have to change the clocks, she goes, I don't change the clocks in my house either. And I was like, thank you, Jesus. There's somebody else out there that feels the same way I do. She goes, if I want to find out what time it is in the real world, as she put it, she goes, I just look at my cell phone and look at the digital time. And I was like, oh my God, I'm really not that crazy. Ow, oh, I got to move. And I'm going to have to sign off. But I love you folks so much. I know are many of you and varied out there. And I do continue to pray that each and every day, that each and every one of you will continue to learn, to accept and receive the knowledge, the healing, the wisdom, and the many blessings in the universe, despite the painful stuff that I'm getting a jab at the moment. It's been fairly quiet for the last 2.5 hours, but now it's starting to scream at me. Um, but I still believe, 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 believe. And other folks, and maybe at this point, you know, yesterday when it was so new and real to me, I was just like, I give up. Well, you can't give up. And in whatever situation it is, if it requires, another surgery, or you have to go back and do something over, and I've worked, for example, in engineering and having to write up plans for things, and you submit, to three or four of the other, bosses, and to the manager of the plant manager and everybody involved, and you send copies to the people of Ford or Nissan or whatever, and then all of a sudden somebody says, well, wait a minute, you have to add this, and we don't like this, and you got to take that out, and you end up having to write the whole damn report over again, and you have to have it submitted by tomorrow morning, and it's already like 5 o'clock and they're already headed home. And hey, no, you'll have this done and resubmitted to all these people by morning. So they'll have it for the meeting at 9 o'clock. Now it's 5 o'clock, and I usually work until 9 p.m., but now I have to go through and make the changes, do all of the resubmitting, go through all of the paperwork and everything that it is entailed in making the changes to the document. And but it's left on your doorstep at the last freaking minute. What do you do? Well, that's how I kept my job, was by being able to do that sort of thing at the last freaking minute. So sometimes you just got to do what you got to do. So paperwork and your job's on the line, and there's all of these, there are millions of dollars at stake, and you got to do what you got to do. And sometimes it's damn painful. Now, sometimes it was mentally painful. This is being physically painful and really starting to argue with me. Yeah, my pain meds have gone out about 2 hours ago. I was supposed to take them at 4:30 actually, and it's now uh, it's 4:30, 5:30, going on 6, so I'm an hour late. But yeah, Nicholas, I'm fixing to do very similar. Try to get some rest, David. Oh, I've been um, listen to Hawkeye more. Yeah, Dave was being a a little whiny pod yesterday, and late Wednesday and yesterday. Um, but I had to go through that. I had to work through the different. Ow, have to work down through the different emotions as to they're gonna cut me open again. Oh man, I just got the skin healed. I just got the last of my staples out. And you're telling me you're going to have to cut me open again? Son bitch. It's like, you get your appendix out, but they left a sponge in or something, and they got to say, well, Mr. No, we took your appendix out, but we're just going to have to go back in there because we got to clean you out. We left something in there. Not to say that my condition is they left something in there, but something has developed again. And, we tied this vein off, but it's leaking. And, well, we're going to have to cut you open again. What? Yeah, okay, here we go. And then go, well, damn it, the last time we cut you open to fix you, we left a glove in there. We left a sponge, and actually, there's somebody put a spatula in you for some reason, and we got to go get the damn thing out because we took a photograph, and well, some bitch, we don't want to be sued and screwed in the upper, in this anyway, because we left a spatula in you, you know. Um, so God forbid they didn't leave a spatula in me because you'd see the damn thing protruding from my back. And I've sent pictures of my back to a lot of people, and they all go, wow, that really looks good. So all of your prayers for healing have been working. Absolutely. And I absolutely believe in the healing power. Absolutely, because it has healed very well. But the fact that I sprung a leak, well, that's unexpected on a lot of different levels and a lot of different fronts and all that. So, but anyway, enough complaining. But I wanted to say again, and this will be the third or fourth time if anybody's counting, that I continue to pray each and every day, even in my lowest moments. I'm sending prayers out to other folks because in my shaman's duties, and I was going to mention this earlier and I kind of went over it. Um, it's my duty to send prayers out to y'all. It's my duty to, regardless of my pains or issues, maybe in a way it's cheating because by sending prayers out to y'all, I forget about my own issues. And I go, well, Dave, whatever is wrong with you, forget about it. Let's send prayers out to other people. You know, um, maybe it's sort of a therapy. I haven't really considered or thought about that much because then that tends to be like, well, it's my ego or something, and it's self-serving if I send prayers out to other people despite my own condition. um is that is it egotistic? Is it, what I mean? Is some kind of freaky way, is it self-serving to me to send prayers out to other people? They're not. That just sounds stupid. Well, if I'm feeling good and happy, it would be obvious that I would want to share that kind of energy. But when your own energy is low and you're in pain and discomfort and your situation sucks, to send private prayers out to other people in that respect, I know that, it's like, man, I want to be positive in this situation. And I'm thinking, I know this person in Florida. I know this person over here. I know this person up there who's suffering. And I got to pray for them because, damn it, I know how they feel, or at least similar. So, yes, I can send out happy vibes when I'm happy, but to send out happy vibes when you're in a great deal of pain, it requires a different kind of energy. And maybe that's what I'm supposed to learn as a shaman in training, is the different types of prayer, if you will, that you can send out to people. So in my lowest moments, I can still send, at least I'm hoping, that it's a positive energy to someone. Now, my issue in learning as a shaman in training is I don't want to attach any of my pain or my possible negative energy. If I'm in pain, that's a negative energy. So I don't want to pass along my pain to anyone in my prayers. So maybe the lesson here is that, I need to sharpen that lesson. I need to sharpen that gift, or my training is that, I need to be able to separate it better, or learn. I'm not really explaining myself too well because, I'm starting to get tired, and I did get stoned off of that bowl, but it's time for me to take a dose of meds too, and go lie down. But I still do each and every day despite my condition. And I believe that I'm sending out positive energy because it takes my mind off of, I can meditate on sending positive energy out, which relieves me and puts me on a different level personally, to where I'm ignoring my own pain. So for every sharp pain that I feel and jump that makes me, want to, spit bullets, I'm thinking there's somebody else out there, and let me send them a prayer. And, maybe it won't hurt so bad on my end. So, for whatever the reason, that's my best explanation at the time. But I continue to pray each and every day that each and every one of you will continue to learn how to accept and receive the knowledge, the healing, the wisdom, and the many blessings from the universe. Despite your situation, continue to believe, 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 because, one way or the other, things will work out. And we never know when the universe is going to send us a curveball. So, you know, It's a swing and a miss for me. They tossed me that curveball, and it just so happened I didn't have the bat ready. And oh, by golly, I'm not much of a baseball fan. I might become one. They've got new rules and regulations out there about how long the pitcher can stand there without before he has to throw another ball, how long the batter has to get his little act together instead of wandering around the plate. And they've already seen, like, 30, 40 minutes cut off a baseball game. Well, I was watching the game the other day, and I was amazed. I was like, I almost like baseball now, because instead of them wandering around and looking at this and this, no, you got to throw the ball. You can't just be out there. It's sort of like, football. You got 30 minutes before you got to put that ball in play, you know, or 30 seconds, I mean. You got to put the ball in play. Well, same thing with a pitcher and the batter. No, you got X amount of time now to put that ball in play. I think it's great. Now, there might be some, baseball fans that go, well, the old way or this or that, but nah, I applaud whatever the baseball commission did, um, to, to help the game out, because I was like, wow, it really speeds up the game. And I was like, I found myself interested. I didn't even know. Wait a minute. It was the Yankees and somebody. Anyway, it was the Giants, the Yankees and the Giants. They were playing a game the other day. And I was like, oh my God, I'm almost interested, because they had time limits. And, then there was the stealing bases thing. And I was like, wow, this is really cool. I might actually like baseball now. Because one of my bitches was, it takes so long for them to get to the next play. And it's like, come on. Oh, the game is so exciting. No, it isn't. It's slow and pathetic. And, well, no, but look at if they do this and these, and they, yeah, okay, but they're taking for freaking ever. Now there's time limits. Then it's already showed up that the games are much shorter now. There's good things in you know, that's good news, right? Well, the bad news is some of the pitchers and some of the other folks might not get along with that, because they have to speed up. They don't have as much time between pitches to recover and so forth. And it's going to be harder on the pitchers, and then there's going to require more pitchers in the bullpen and other things, and they're going to have to hire more pitchers and okie dokie, however you want to do it. But at the same time, speeding up the game ain't a bad thing. So here's my eye patch for the day. And maybe you could use this in baseball as one of those side thingies, to keep from getting hit. But, here's the dribble pad for men. Y'all buy them at the stores or buy them in a 50 count, in a case of three. So you can buy 150 of these, from a nondescript company who will deliver these to your door. I sound like a salesperson, don't I? But anyway, I love you all. Thanks for hanging out with me. And even though it looks like I might have a dark day, it's starting to get light outside this morning. So I hope your day goes well. Um, oh, it was a bad joke. What do you call an Italian, a dago, right? So there was all kinds of jokes back in the day about how did your day go, or something like that, and somebody would understand. It's the Anastasia that is tough on the body. What? Yeah, I'm fixing to smoke a fat bowl and take my other meds that I'm late with, and ask Duggar to move over. And I'm going to take my blood pressure too, to see what it's doing in the last couple of hours since I've been on here with y'all. So please have a great day. I know you folks will say, "Well, we'll pray for you, Dave slash Hawkeye." Ha ha ha. And I know you will, but I'm going to be praying for you all too. So, and I don't mean that in some kind of maybe it's some kind of trade war, and it's not really a war, but we exchange prayers with each other, and I think that's actually a good thing. In that, um, a couple of days or weeks ago or whatever, I did a thing about peace be unto you, and that my Mother Mary message to give to other people was, we need to say that to each other more often. Is peace be unto you, my friend, um, whether male or female. We need to just be saying that. If peace be upon you, peace be in your heart, peace be in your mind, peace be in your soul and your spirit. But, the general word of just saying, which includes just generally, peace be unto you, my brothers and sisters. I really mean that, because I would like for everyone to find peace in their heart and peace in their mind and their spirit. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Um, and in any way that we can share that with each other to help each other to develop peace within themselves, I think that's a good thing. And so that is my journey in life is, to have these conversations with people, and that I hope you find something that where you can find peace within your heart and your soul and your mind, and that you will continue to believe and believe and believe and believe and continue to learn to accept and receive the knowledge, the healing, the wisdom, and the many blessings in the universe. That's my prayer to you all, and I'll keep doing it whether you like it or not. And I accept and receive that the prayers that you all will send for me, and in the great exchange, holy crap, that hurts. Wow, that really hurts. It don't take much movement before them sharp pains go down you. So I hope you have a great day. And I hope the good spirits will follow you around and help you through your day. And until next time, I hope that you keep it between the ditches. And cheers, everyone. Be safe. Be as safe as you possibly can. Until next time, cheers.